Hi, my name's Linda. I'm going to share with you the best way to use your new fitness tracker. My name's Linda Magid, and I am the owner of Pilates for Real Bodies, an online mat Pilates studio. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the best ways to use your fitness tracker. It's super exciting. You get all this new data, but there are so many pitfalls to fall into, and I have fallen into most of them. So I'm going to share with you the best way to use it. Before we get started, I'm asking you to please subscribe to my channel. It's the best way to know when I drop new videos, and I share with you Pilates classes and how to master certain Pilates moves. And I also am doing interviews with experts in fitness and wellness to make sure that you are getting the most out of your fitness lifestyle. So be sure to subscribe. Your fitness watch or your fitness tracker is giving you a ton of information, but some of the pitfalls is having too much information or relying on that information instead of relying on your own body and feels and what it's doing. Let's go through kind of the different ways that it measures and how to use it and maybe how not to use it. The first thing is that I'm going to talk about is counting your steps. Counting steps is super popular, and people like to talk about, I walked 15,000 steps. And I mean, that's super fun, and I definitely do that too. And I'll even tell people, if you are in my Zumba class, you're gonna 5,000 steps, okay? And so that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But some things you should know. First of all, the idea of 10,000 steps is the goal was made up by somebody when these trackers first came out. Like, it's a marketing thing. It's actually not accurate. Scientists have shown that if you walk 7,000 steps, that's actually as much as you need, like the bottom line for getting kind of a baseline exercise for the day or movement for the day. Okay. So first of all, that's the reality, and 10,000 doesn't necessarily have to be the goal. So like if you have a day where you're like, okay, I don't have time to go to the gym, I don't have time to do my class, I'm going to just make sure I get steps in, just 7,000 is enough. The other thing is that walking is good for you, and but you can tell by the tone of my voice, I'm going to have a but at the end of this statement. Walking is good for you, but it is not the be all end all. One problem with walking is that it is very much just in one direction. You're just moving the limbs forward and back. You're not getting any side to side or corner to corner movement. All of that is super important for agility, for coordination, for proprioception. You need to be doing something that's working in many directions. That's number one. Number two, you can't necessarily get your heart rate up in walking if you are trying to increase your lung and heart capacity. And if you want to really strengthen your heart and your lungs, you've got to do some vigorous exercise. And that doesn't necessarily have to be on land, by the way. A lot of people, the joints just can't handle vigorous exercise on land, but you can do it on a recumbent bike. You can get your heart rate up that high. You can do it in an aqua fitness class in the water. Obviously swimming, definitely get vigorous exercise. So you don't have to be pounding on pavement. I'm not saying everybody has to go running. You just have to think about vigorous exercise. So the step part of your watch, you don't want that to lull you into this idea that if I'm getting 7,000 steps or if I'm getting 10,000 steps, I'm doing enough. The bottom line is you're not. I'm interrupting my own video because I think I was a little hard on walking as an exercise tool. The truth is, it's really effective. Exercise is exercise. If you're exercising, it's better than not exercising. But even with the benefits that it has, which we're going to go over here, there are some pitfalls, and I'm going to go over those as well. There are a ton of articles out there about the benefits of walking that you can look up yourself. I picked one up from Harvard Health Publishing. It only has 5, but I think those 5 are pretty interesting. So let's go over them. The first one is that walking can make genes in our body that cause weight gain less effective. The second one is that walking has shown to decrease our sugar cravings. Walking has proven to decrease the likelihood of getting breast cancer. Walking has also proven to lessen joint pain from arthritis and also stave off arthritis in our joints altogether. And lastly, walking has proven to increase our immune function, so we will be sick less often with things like the flu and getting a cold. Now, what we don't know is this the same for all exercise? The reason that studies tend to look at walking is because so many people do it, and people do that for a long time. So you can study somebody's health over 10 years because it's more likely that someone is going to be walking for 10 years than doing something like skiing or swimming for 10 years. I mean, the bottom line is there's just more people walking, and that's a good thing. But it does kind of narrow the studies on the effects and the benefits of exercise. So what we don't know is, if you're a runner, will you get all those benefits? If you're a swimmer, will you get those benefits? If you are a cross-country skier, that's something that we don't know yet. We may know at some point, but something to keep in mind. It doesn't mean that exercise is the only exercise that causes those benefits. It's just that's what we know scientifically so far. The pitfalls of walking are pretty much the same as the pitfalls of doing any one exercise exclusively and not opening yourself up to cross training. But I'm going to just talk about walking specifically because one, I already started picking on it, and two, because it's so popular. Number one, not all walking is the same. If you're walking your dog or taking a leisurely evening stroll versus an intentional walk that's paced, like using your fitness tracker to pace yourself, two different kinds of walking and two different kinds of benefits. So if you're really looking for that cardiorespiratory benefit, you got to pace. You got to pick a rate that you're going to walk, like how many miles per hour, and try to stick to that number, or maybe create a range and stick to that range. And that is what is going to help you know, like, if you need to work harder, if you need to back off a little bit, and just to help get your heart rate up. Another thing is that you don't build any upper body strength with walking. So be sure that if you're exclusively walking, you are doing push-ups, that you're doing planks, that you're doing tricep dips, you can do side planks, so many different kinds of exercises. You don't need to have a gym. Do it at home on your floor, get in that upper body work. Another thing is that people tend to walk the same amount over a long period of time and they don't ever challenge their bodies, and you want to do that. Your body will plateau, and then the work that you're doing really isn't going to be making much of a difference. So that could be going to a different area so that you're adding different terrain, different hills. You can increase the time that you're walking during the week. You can increase the pace to make it faster. Or you can find a friend and walk together, and then while you're talking, that talking is actually challenging your heart and your lungs. And then lastly, as I already said in the video that I'm interrupting, you need to work in other planes of motion. If you're only walking forward, that's not enough. You want to be moving side to side, you want to be moving cross-body. So things you can add that are non-impact are Pilates. Of course, you can always join my studio. There's always yoga in the chair on the floor. Tai Chi is an amazing strength and mobility and coordination format that I highly recommend. That's going to get you in all different ranges of motion. And if you're not looking for something low impact, you want high impact, but you still like to walk, kickboxing, amazing. You don't have to jump, but your body's going to move in all different planes of motion. All right, so there, I've said it. I've cleared up my throwing down the gauntlet on walking. And now I'm going to take you back to my video on the 4 mistakes that people make when they use their fitness tracker. Thanks. The next data set I'm going to talk about is calories. So your fitness tracker is going to tell you how many calories you've burned. But the calories that you've burned is based on your heart rate. And it is known, it has been shown in research that these watches are not 100% accurate on measuring your heart rate. So if it's not accurately measuring your heart rate, whatever it says about how many calories you've burned for that day, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt. That's just it. You know, if you are watching every single calorie that you are burning and you're counting on that, you gotta walk it back a little bit because it's just not accurate. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been teaching a Zumba class and I've looked at my heart rate and I'm like, my heart rate is high. I am definitely in, the 85 percentile of like my heart rate max. And I look down and my watch heart rate setting is gray. So I'll be working out and panting and it says I'm working at 117, beats per minute. I'm like, that is very low. That is definitely not true. It just isn't 100% accurate, and you need to understand that. One more thing about calories. People will look at their watch and say, oh, I've burned 2,500 calories today. I can go out and I can eat a lot of food. This is so common. I did the same thing. And then they end up gaining weight because they're not measuring the calories that they're eating. They're just thinking that, there's no way I can eat 2,500 calories in a day. 100% you can. Just go have, a big coffee drink with a ton of cream and whipped cream, and then later have a burger and fries, and you've pretty much covered 2,500 calories, I'm sorry to say. So just be careful, don't go crazy. I'm not going to tell you how you should eat because that is not my area, but I will say that if you just got your watch and you see you've burned a lot of calories, if you're going to eat more and you feel really hungry, so you should eat, just try to keep it on the fruits and vegetables and whole grains and, protein side. Another data set that your watch counts is, again, your heart rate. And so I use my heart rate because I have asthma and I'm exercising and I want to know, like, given how I'm feeling, what does my heart rate say? How high is it? Because I also have to manage that because it takes me a little bit longer for my heart rate to go down than somebody who doesn't have asthma. And again, I'm using my watch to make sure I'm exercising safely, but the watch isn't 100% accurate. So if you are somebody who is trying to manage your moderate to vigorous exercise, which is part of the recommended weekly exercise amounts that I'm putting at the bottom of the screen here, so you know how much you need to be exercising to maintain and build strength and a cardiorespiratory ability. Your watch is only part of your understanding of how hard you're working. The other piece is how hard you're breathing, how hard it feels. You want to notice, can you talk? If you can talk really easily, you're not working hard enough. If you can talk, but you don't really want to, you're really getting into a nice level of exercise. If you're breathing out of your mouth rather than your nose, now you're at vigorous exercise. Can you only do something for a minute and then you really have to stop? That is vigorous exercise. So you can't just rely on what the number says on your watch. You also need to be checking in with yourself to know how hard you're working, maybe where you need to push, or even maybe where you need to back off. And then the last thing is just knowing that your fitness tracker is great information, but it is not the be all end all of whether or not you're exercising. You want to have exercise be something that you're intending to do, maybe have a plan, maybe have some fitness goals. I'm not a big fan of weight loss goals myself. I prefer fitness goals, like being able to do something that you can't do or being able to do more of something that you want, that you really like to do. So goals are really important. And then using the information from your tracker to support your goals, as opposed to patting yourself on the back because your watch said you did so many steps for that day. And that's it. That's what I have to say about using a fitness tracker. And again, I am sharing all this with you because I have done all of these pitfalls and I want you to use your watch more smartly than I did. All right, thank you so much for being here. If you want to join my Pilates studio, you can find all of the contact information in the description of this video. And it's super easy to join. Once you do, everything's here on YouTube. You don't have to get a separate app. You don't have to learn any new technology. I just send you the links and you can do the videos whenever you'd like. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.